the nice thing about a test here would go, hey, look it, you really do. Here's the prescription. You really do need to take time out and play. Because I worry that nowadays, especially, like you ask someone, and I would just say to everyone listening right now, think about what the last thing that you did that gave you pure joy. That was just like, because I think we especially feel guilty doing that, It's like, right?
Oh, and it's essential. I mean, and too, like everything we do to decrease cortisol is going to help us increase our oxytocin. And thinking even just like, hey, where could I laugh at myself in this situation? Just pausing and say, especially you're out, you're about, you're driving, where could I laugh at myself in this situation? Or where do I see love today? Asking those two questions, I mean, just helps you tune in to that energy of love and oxytocin.
Hey, it's JJ, and welcome to Ask the Health Expert. But this isn't just any old Ask the Health Expert session. This is your bonus session. Yes, it's the weekend, and because it's the weekend, we are going to take some time with an amazing expert. So be on the lookout for these Saturday Ask the Health Expert bonus sessions where we're going to go deep into an amazing subject with an incredible expert to give you actionable items that you can put into your life. Hey, it's JJ, and welcome to Ask the Health Expert. It's our deep dive today, and we're going to be talking hormones because we can never get enough of that. And I have my buddy, Dr. Anna Cabeca. She's the author of the Hormone Fix and Keto-Green 16, and the perfect person to be diving into hormones. She's known as the girlfriend doctor because she's just so approachable. As she likes to say, nothing is TMI. And you'll see that as we get into some of this stuff today. And that's all I'm going to say about that. She's a triple board certified Emory University trained OBGYN. And literally, I knew her when she went through a really, really tragic experience in her own life that caused her to go into early menopause, weight gain, hair loss, all sorts of stuff that made her go even deeper into learning how to heal. She, in fact, went all around the world on a healing journey and came away empowered with this knowledge that she combined with medical training and research to create amazing results. And again, that's what you'll see in Hormone Fix and Keto-Green 16. And she is someone who, when I have questions on hormones, she's one of my favorite people to call. And you're going to see today, because we will be talking about a lot about oxytocin, which is something really, she's the only person I think I ever talk about oxytocin with on the show. And you're going to see why it is so key, critical for you having a happy, healthy life. So I will be right back with Dr. Anna. Stay with me. Dr. Anna Cabeca, welcome back. Super excited to have you with us.
I am thrilled to be here, JJ. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're a crowd pleaser, my friend. So it's always fun to have you on the show because you have so much great information. And today, I'd love to just let's unpack hormones and really just start with, let's go back to the basics, like hormones, sex hormones. And let's talk, thyroid, insulin, cortisol, not just the sex hormones, and then estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Why are they so important? What are they doing to our health? And then, starting 35 and up, what the heck is happening?
And it's a really good question because we talk about hormones all the time and we really don't understand. And then sometimes hormones get a bad rap and sometimes they're your absolute life draft, and all these different things. But actually our hormones are what gets us out of bed in the morning. It gives us the energy. These are tremendous energetic molecules that work as messengers throughout our body. It's like living in a healthy community when everything's in balance, right? If someone's got your back, they're encouraging you, they're supporting you, they're motivating you, they're your biggest cheerleader and every step along the way. We can look at hormones in this way. And especially when we talk a lot about thyroid hormone. We talk a lot about our sex hormones. And when it comes down to it, those are really our minor hormones. And our major hormones that, should get even more press now are these three main hormones that I like to talk about. That when I studied hormones throughout my career as an OBGYN, But when it really comes down to it, these three hormones are the most important, and that is insulin, cortisol, and absolutely the most important hormone of our body, oxytocin, the love and bonding hormone, not to be confused with oxycodone. Sometimes I get that too.
I still want you to write this oxytocin solution book, I swear. But
It's coming. It's coming.
yes. Okay, you say those are the three most important. Let's dissect each one and why.
Yeah. So definitely as we get older, most of our hormones are declining, but insulin and cortisol increase as we age. And these hormones are really, life-saving, but they're pro-inflammatory. So insulin is that hormone that responds to us when we eat a meal. Insulin is secreted to put glucose in its place, so to speak, use it or store it. And as we have been trained over time to eat 3 meals, 3 snacks, which no one listening to your show would ever
No,
do,
they wouldn't. They know
ever,
better.
ever, right? Because that snacking creates insulin resistance. And as we get older, we naturally become more insulin resistant. And so glucose, our cells become deaf to glucose, and more sugar in our body, more inflammation, more immune problems, more disease susceptibility, let alone diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, and forget about our sex drive, right? Libido's gone. We have cravings and no willpower. I mean, that's the problem with elevated levels of insulin. That's how it shows up. And it's kind of funny, JJ. I know you'll love the story. So, we talk about, you're no longer dating, but when we were both dating, we talked about our dating. Now I just talk about my dating, but, and then ask your advice. So I was on a date the other day, and nice gentleman, very successful, and he's been working with a trainer. So I'm like, oh, great. Tell me about that, and tell me about his, functional exercises and HIIT exercise. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, but I've been stagnant, haven't been able to lose these 20 pounds that I want to lose. So, well, what is your, he said he's working with a nutritionist too. So what's your nutritionist doing? Well, she has me on these, 3 meals, 3 snacks.
Oh my gosh, come on. The 80s are calling. They want their diet back.
I know. And we're not supposed to lecture on a date, right?
I know. Oh boy. The minute I heard that and you asked, I thought, oh, you just walked into it, Anna.
I know.
Walked into it. What did you do?
I was like, I tried to bite my tongue, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but take it for a grain of salt. But look, this is just 16 hours between dinner and breakfast, eat 2 meals a day, and no more snacking for you, big boy. That's it. And,
yeah, was that the last date, the first date?
Possibly.
No more snacks for you, big boy.
No more snacks for you, big boy.
Oh boy. Yikes.
It's no wonder I'm single.
Yep, that's a tweetable. All right. Well,
seriously, that is a great tweetable. No more snacks for you, big boy.
Yes. So if you're getting ready to pick up a snack, just remember that little phrase there. That will just keep that in your brain. Okay. So
but that is a game-changing shift. And especially as we're older, we talk about women all the time, no more snacks. And men equally important. And recently there was a article published in one of our popular magazines that said, oh, this is how you should eat in menopause. And do you know they said 3 meals, 3 snacks? I went livid. I, shared it with my community and my Keto-Green community on Facebook, and, just ridiculous. There's no basis for that. And we know that doesn't work.
No, there is no basis. There's no science for this. What's so interesting? I remember I was scrolling through the news feed, and I saw, it was what dietitians say you should eat before bed. And I thought, okay, this must be a joke. It must be nothing, right? They must be saying nothing. No, they had all of their favorite bedtime snacks. I'm like, why are we snacking before bed? What are we doing here? That's the worst possible thing. If you're gonna do anything, just close the kitchen down after dinner. That's step one. We all know that. It's the worst thing you can do is eat before bed. And then you mess up your growth hormone response and your blood sugar's up. It's like,
and sleep and cortisol. And, it is, it's really amazing the recommendations that are being made without the science to back it up. And that snacking at bedtime is another one of those recommendations.
So insulin, it seems very unfair that insulin and cortisol go up as we age, but what's going on with cortisol?
So cortisol, the same thing. It is our hormone that is designed to protect us, first flight and fight responder in times of stress. And it is really a life-saving hormone. Thank God we have it. But the problem is with chronic everyday stress, with post-traumatic stress and PTSD, and just with inflammation in our body, cortisol is that natural anti-inflammatory, but it's a catabolic hormone, meaning that it just breaks us down. It will rob Peter to pay Paul. It will save your life by, it will save your leg by taking your arm, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so this cortisol hormone is really essential, but when it goes up, it's acidifying to the body. And so part of the catabolic nature, it's to leach, it will leach minerals from your body, um and it critical responder. But over time, when our body has been constantly pushing out cortisol, what happens over time is that our area in our brain called the paraventricular nucleus, or PVN for short, will suppress our adrenal gland production of cortisol. And so now you're in this, the stress continues, this fight or flight response, this everyday trauma on, these little bite-sized pieces of trauma that we may experience every day, just when we watch the news, for instance. And your body is like shutting down that cortisol response. So you go from a high cortisol state to a artificially, essentially suppressed cortisol state, and then inflammation tends to grow. And when we're in this state, it also affects another hormone, oxytocin, which naturally, when oxytocin goes up, cortisol goes down. But when cortisol, the stress hormone, is suppressed in this way, oxytocin is also suppressed. And so this adds to these feelings of disconnect, of like, I know I love you intellectually. I know I love you, but I don't feel love for you. I know I love my job, but I'm burnt out. I can't stand it anymore. Like, I don't want to go in. I don't want to face Monday mornings, to go into work. I'm burnt out. Or relationships start to crumble, and we start to be more isolated and depressed. And that's a result of this oxytocin hormone also being suppressed at the same time as cortisol. And so, in many ways, the biggest life changing effects that we can have are by addressing these hormones. And I always say, I went to med school to study estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and even DHEA. But when it comes down to it, and when it really want to improve our hormones and our sex hormones and our quality of life, we have to become more insulin sensitive. We have to manage our cortisol response and reset our circadian rhythm. And we have to prioritize oxytocin in our life, the things that make us laugh.
Well, let's talk about that, because honestly, man, if there was ever a time when oxytocin's at an all-time low, it's now, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So let's dig deeper into oxytocin. I think the only person I think I ever talk about oxytocin with on the show is you. So what would someone do? First of all, like, let's really talk about oxytocin and why we have it, what it does, and then what we can do, in this disconnected, stressed out world right now to bring it back.
What's really beautiful about oxytocin, and it's a peptide hormone, it's actually one of the first hormones in abundance that we are surrounded by in our mom's womb. So when we're about to be born, our mother is like, her body is secreting oxytocin big time, so that we have the natural contractions, and we can, the childbirth, so that childbirth occurs. Oxytocin is that it's a huge hormone. It's this love and attachment hormone. It really is this love and attachment hormone, this connection hormone. And so for many women, like, the first time we are exposed, many of us, to exogenous oxytocin is Pitocin. That is what we give as an obstetrician. We give it IV to moms in labor to help them birth, to speed up labor, to help a slow labor. And that's what we're naturally excreting ourselves when we're in labor, as well as when we're breastfeeding. And so here, just by design, and this is all the attachment studies, all the research shows that that especially in childhood, the more essentially oxytocin you're surrounded by, the better adjusted, less addictions, the higher quality of life and relationships as we get older. And this attachment hormone is so critical for that early on. And so by touch, by massage, by caress, by love, by laughter, by giving, and these are things that increase oxytocin. And what we know is that this is an issue of study and of science. Like how do really administration of high dose oxytocin, how does that affect a child? And as well, how do if you're not experiencing any of that oxytocin in childbirth, say from C-section, how does that affect a child? But what we know is, regardless of that touch, that attachment, that breastfeeding, that cuddling, that nurturing in early ages increases the quality of relationships of our children and well into adulthood for our entire life. So that's kind of an empathetic hormone.
Well, what happens if someone didn't get it early on?
So like that's in studies looking at the uh, animal studies have looked at, which is really interesting. And I like the monkey studies that looked at. Um, there was a study done a monkey study where they had a soft, like plush, cuddly toy they could use or food, and they would prefer the cuddly. They would prefer the affection, the cuddly toy, the cuddly plush object, as opposed to food, because it gave them some sense of comfort and nurturing. So what studies have shown in that cases where there was no physical touch, there was no nurturing, there was isolation in these animal studies, there's a sense of higher cortisol, more detachment, more depression. And so that's been a really big issue and a big concern. And that's why it's so important to have that, to encourage the nurturing relationships early on as much as possible. And again, like with anything, that if we didn't have it, knowing that can help us make up for it and look conscientiously into what nurturing activities, how can I increase oxytocin now in my life? Like, what are things that I can do? Number one, reduce stress, meditate, pray, do things that make you laugh, have fun, playfulness, and encouraging, healthy, healthy relationships make all the difference in the world. And that increases that oxytocin, which is the most alkalinizing hormone in our body. Where I said cortisol was acidifying and actually the most acidifying hormone, oxytocin is opposite. It's the most alkalinizing, nourishing hormone in our body. And that's that sense of feeling loved and connected. So even if we didn't have it in our childhood, understanding, okay, making oxytocin seeking behaviors a priority is important for that feeling, that sense of feeling belonging, feeling loved.
Is this something that can be measured, or is it just something you just, I don't know, how else would you know if someone's low in it?
Yeah, I mean, there is oxytocin blood tests. They're really hard because it has to be fresh frozen, and very few labs in the country that do oxytocin testing, but you can definitely do that. But again, it's very, it's very hard. And really, there's quiz, and I had an oxytocin quiz on my website. I'll have to get you that link, JJ. But there are several questions that you can go through to see if you are high or low in oxytocin, as well as doing the blood test. So I'll definitely get you that link.
It sounds like, though, it's a lot of the same things that we talk about, just like when you're looking at overall health and doing things that help with stress, like, meditation or tapping or restorative yoga, and then doing things for joy that we seem to always forget about. But, watching something funny, hanging out with your friends, hanging out with your doggy. I would think a dog. I think Daisy is definitely an oxytocin. Yes.
Absolutely.
It's interesting when you look at all the different things that we talk about, e- e- eating healthy, and it's not just what you eat, but it's also when you eat, as we now know, and the exercise, and of course the right type of exercise, and supplements and relationships, all the stuff at the end that I feel like needs to be written in as a prescription, the prescription for joy, as our buddy Radha Agrawal talks about, and doing things to reduce stress and doing things for community, that they all when you put all these things together, you can run all these tests and you can look at all this stuff, but they all work together to get your insulin where it should be, insulin sensitive, to get your stress hormones balanced, to get your sex hormones right. So it's just the nice thing about a test here would go, hey, look it, you really do. Here's the prescription. You really do need to take time out and play. Because I worry that nowadays, especially, like, you ask someone, and I would just say to everyone listening right now, think about what the last thing that you did that gave you pure joy. That was just like, because I think we especially feel guilty doing that, it's like, right?
Oh, and it's essential. I mean, and too, like everything we do to decrease cortisol is going to help us increase our oxytocin. And thinking even just like, hey, where could I laugh at myself in this situation? Just pausing and say, especially you're out, you're about, you're driving, where could I laugh at myself in this situation? Or where do I see love today? Asking those two questions, I mean, just helps you tune in to that energy of love and oxytocin.
Well, speaking of love, it wouldn't be an interview with you if we didn't talk a little bit about Julva. And I still think back. So when I got married a couple years ago, we had swag bags for everybody, and you put Julva in the swag bags, and it was definitely the crowd pleaser. So because you talked about love, let's talk a little bit about relationships, anti-aging. What's sexual health for women really? How do we anti-age everywhere, and then what Julva is, and then I'm going to share your special gifts that you're giving everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, like all of us go through, every woman will go through menopause, right? And we age, right? We will experience wrinkles, in spite of fillers and Botox, we will. And always the more important area that we're going to experience this is, I always say, the most valuable real estate of our body, clitoris to anus. So the vulvar area for sure. And we want to keep that area healthy. Now, as our hormones are, our sex hormones are plummeting, and our rapid aging hormones like insulin and cortisol are fighting this battle, trying to increase. We have to counteract that as much as possible. Again, the big defense is oxytocin. And then let's support, progesterone, testosterone. These all naturally decline as we age. So we've got to add them back through, lifestyle, through nutrition, everything you've just talked about, and through bioidentical hormones or pro hormones that can really help us. And so this is, a big problem in intimacy and connection with couples is that we become roommates instead of boyfriend, girlfriend, and we lose that intimacy, which again, intimacy, sex increases oxytocin and helps us stay connected, helps us feel love for each other, helps us stay committed relationships. So we want to take away any barriers that are keeping us from having awesome, pleasurable, wonderful, yummy, juicy sex. And as a gynecologist, vaginal dryness is, a natural part of aging, but it's reversible. Reverse it in 80-year-olds. So I can tell you that this is something, if you're dealing with vaginal dryness, loss of pleasure, decreased orgasm, discomfort when having sex, and let's add in those accidental bladder leaks when you cough, sneeze, laugh. We don't want any of that. So, so we can't have that. And I was actually thinking about that today. I was doing jumping jacks. I'm like, oh, thank God for Julva, right? It's true. And so we don't want to deal with that, and especially when it comes to intimacy. And so I created this product because I wanted something natural, over the counter, clean ingredients that can help us reverse this aging process that's happening to every single woman as we age. And post childbirth, we talked about childbirth earlier, and I've had 4 big babies. I mean, bladder leakage, etc., can completely eliminate that with the Kegel exercises and with Julva. In so many cases, it's been beautiful. So the ingredients that I put in Julva are from my years of study, as well as personal and professional use. And so it is just really, it's been, like you said, a crowd pleaser for sure. I have thousands of testimonials on my website that just bring me to tears. There, when you're having a hard day, I go read those testimonials. It's been good.
Well, it's funny, we just don't think of, like, it's another thing to do, but it's something you just don't really think about, that you just have to get into a regular rhythm with, right?
just like we do brush our teeth, I put the Julva by the toilet too. And I'm actually coming out with Julva wipes for my subscribers pretty soon.
Oh, that's so smart. I didn't think of that. That is super smart.
It's so good. I will send you some as soon as they come out. So, but just put it like even just putting it by the toilet, like you're going to wipe at some point during the day, just put some Julva on there or, in the morning before you get out of bed, massage, welcome, wake up your feminine bits there. Say hello, good morning, vagina, and massage, give it some love. I mean, because again, that is an important area. Women stop exercising because they have bladder leaks. They stop having sex because they have discomfort. Between women having dryness, men having erectile issues. I mean, we can reverse both of those things. And that is what it's just life changing. And when we address these issues, our quality of life improves.
Well, here's the good news then. The good news is you are giving everyone a freebie of Julva. So to find out how you can get that and also to take your hormone toxicity quiz. And what will they find out by taking their hormone toxicity quiz?
So we all want to have a 0. We want to have no symptoms. So we'll be able to look and see, well, how well are we doing? Because oftentimes, and I heard this from taking care of so many patients, thousands of patients, is once they start my program, detox, get green, right? All these keto-green things, they'll say, Dr. Ann, I didn't realize how bad I was feeling till I started feeling good again. And so what gets measured gets managed. So you take this hormone toxicity quiz, follow, these little lifestyle tweaks that we've talked about today, and then retake it in a month from now and just look and see, the level of improvement. We typically see an 80 to 90% improvement in 30 days.
Nice.
Yeah, better than we could do with a prescription pad, I'm telling you.
Perfect. So you're going to get, when you go, and here's the link, is go to jjvirgin.com/JULVA. That's Julva. If you go there, when you go there, not if, when you go there, you're going to get the hormone toxicity quiz and you will get an offer to be able to get free Julva. How awesome is that? So you will be able to get both those things. And I highly recommend, and we'll put over there as well, information about your books too, because you definitely want to have Dr. Anna's books. The most recent is Keto-Green 16 in your success library. She is my go-to on hormones. And again, that'll be jjvirgin.com/JULVA. And Dr. Anna, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I think we'll need to start this as a regular thing.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, hon. And stay with me. I'll be right back with a couple quick takeaways. All right, I want to remind you that you are going to want to get these freebies. You're going to want to take the hormone toxicity quiz and definitely get a sample of Julva. She's given it away at so many of my events, and it is always like the top favorite thing in the swag bag. And I loved her advice about keeping it in the bathroom so you remember to use it. It's just like putting the floss out by your toothbrush and putting your supplements there too, so you remember to take them, right? And I just wanted to give you a little takeaway because I think what she talked about here about oxytocin and connection just doesn't get enough airtime. And especially now with, this last year of being so disconnected, this is really, really critical for our health. So just like you schedule in your exercise and you take time to make healthy meals, schedule in some joy. In fact, I'm going to bring my girlfriend, Radha Agrawal, on the show at some point here, and she'll talk about joy because she's created a whole program to prescribe joy for everybody. But, that can be anything from doing some sound healing, some breath work, some meditation. Shout out to my girlfriend, Emily Fletcher of Ziva Meditation. I go out and paddle on the water, do some stand-up paddleboarding or, pet my dog, hang out with my family. Think of those things that bring you joy and get a joyful activity into your day every day because you deserve it. All right. If you've not subscribed yet, oh my gosh, you do not want to miss an episode. So go to subscribetojj.com. It's that simple. Subscribe to JJ. And remember to get those awesome freebies at jjvirgin.com/Julva, JULVA. See you next time.